With exactly one episode more than Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul reached its end last night, revealing the final destination of Saul Goodman's, Bob Odenkirk, criminal journey. Focused on several moments of Saul's life, Better Call Saul's series finale forces the crooked lawyer to confront the people he's hurt to decide, once and for all, what legacy he wants to leave behind. There's a lot to unpack here, and with all the time jumps, things can be somewhat confusing. That's why we'll recap all the main events of Better Call Saul Season 6, Episode 13, Saul Gone. We might never return to the Breaking Bad universe again, so let's take the time to say our farewells. Episode 13 takes us back to where we last saw Saul, running from Marion's, Carol Burnett, house after the elderly woman recognized him and called the police. As expected, Saul stops by his house to grab a pile of money, a burner phone, and the number for Ed Galbraith, the disappearer, Robert Forster. The last episode could have been about the manhunt, as Saul tries to evade the police, forge a new identity, and disappear again. Instead, the search ends quickly as Saul is quickly found inside a dumpster. Saul is apprehended, knowing that he'll be gone for a long time for a very long list of crimes. He won't go down without a fight, though, first calling William Oakley, Peter DeSeth, his former nemesis turned defense attorney. The chance of making a career defending the famous Saul Goodman is too good for William to pass on, and so he flies to Nebraska to act as an advisory counselor, with Saul representing himself, of course. During a hearing with the prosecution team, Saul is presented with the punishment the government is pursuing, which ensures he'll die in prison. Saul apparently has no way out of his dire situation until he invites Marie Schrader, Betsy Brandt, into the room. The widow is watching the meeting from behind a mirror before confronting Saul face to face. During their encounter, Saul talks about when Walter White, Bryan Cranston, and Jesse Pinkman, Aaron Paul, kidnapped him, took him to the desert, and threatened to kill him close to an open grave. The scene has been recently revisited in Episode 11 and marks the beginning of Saul's very profitable business with Walter's drug empire. We all know Saul didn't help Walter out of fear, but that's the narrative he gives the prosecutors. He knows a jury might fall for his sad story, taking down the prosecution's case, so it's in everyone's best interest if they can strike a deal. Saul is smart, knows the law like the back of his hand, and is successful in pushing his demands. Instead of spending his life behind bars, he only gets 7.5 years in a prison of his choosing. Since Saul Goodman takes pleasure in humiliating his adversaries, he also tries to add mandatory ice cream to his plea deal. In exchange, he offers the truth about Howard Hamlin, Patrick Fabian. The prosecution tells Saul that his ex-wife, Kim Wexler, Rhea Seehorn, has already signed a confession regarding Howard, which completely changes Saul's strategy. At first, he thought he was tricking the government into giving him a good deal, but now he realizes Kim's life will also be affected by his choices. While the finale mainly focuses on Saul's legal battle after he's incarcerated, Saul Gone also takes us back in time to moments when the crooked lawyer was forced to weigh his choices. First, we go back to the desert where Saul almost died of dehydration by the side of Mike Ehrmantraut, Jonathan Banks. The duo was carrying $7 million to free Lalo Salamanca, Tony Dalton, and Saul thought more than once he would die from the heat before reaching civilization. In the middle of their dangerous journey, Mike and Saul find a well. After drinking and filling their bottles, Saul asks Mike what he would do if they just used the money to build a time machine. Mike says he would go back to the day he accepted his first bride so that he would never be involved with crime. Saul, on the other hand, would go back in time to place some profitable investment that would turn him into a billionaire in the present. So while Mike regrets some of his choices, Saul is only concerned about personal gain. A similar dialogue happens in the second flashback scene, set at the moment when Saul and Walter had to stay hidden in a basement while the disappearer worked on their escape. When faced with the same time machine-related question, Walter says he regrets ever leaving the company he helped to create. It's interesting to see Walter still blames external forces for his criminal endeavors at this time and has not yet owned his mistakes. Still, he wished somehow never to have become Heisenberg. As for Saul, he reveals he regrets having hurting himself while scheming against some people in his youth. Not the scheme itself, only the part where he was hurt.